It's been 3 years since Gran Turismo 7 was released, and whilst it's been a pretty big success, many Gran Turismo 7 players like myself are still having constant problems that really should have been addressed a long time ago. In this video, I'm going to be covering some of the things that really do cause problems and concern for your average Gran Turismo 7 player. Let's not forget the fact that this is a really good racing game and I do really thoroughly enjoy it. However, some of these little problems do cause my experience to be dampened. First up is definitely the penalty system. I would say that the penalty system is the worst problem within Gran Turismo 7. So Gran Turismo 7 has what is known as daily races. So daily races are where you can compete with fellow online racers, competing in races with your driver rating and safety rating. However, there are multiple slightly dirty drivers and there's practically no penalty system penalising the drivers for this driving. Now, when I say there's no penalty system, there is one and it works sometimes, and then sometimes it works when it shouldn't. It basically means that drivers can punt each other off without any severe penalty. Add to that there's virtually no reporting system to report a driver for dirty driving. It just means it's a free-for-all for everyone online. Now, I know what you're saying, but hon, you've created a channel basically based on dirty driving. Yes, because that's the only driving that exists on Gran Turismo 7. I literally took a situation that was driving me mad, no pun intended, and made it into something humorous. But there's really, a very rare occurrence where there is a clean race. I've mentioned before I did 100 races around Brands Hatch on one of the daily races events a few weeks ago, and I had 3 clean races out of 100. By clean, I mean there were no intentional dirty driving. There is some sort of reporting system that I know a couple of content creators say, oh well, I can report a driver and all this stuff, but it shouldn't be like that. There should be an ability for all drivers to report a dirty driver, whether it be just a simple form that you fill in, this race, this track, with a video example. I think that would go really far. However, the problem for Gran Turismo 7 is if it banned all of the dirty drivers, there probably wouldn't be many left. Now, they don't do permanent bans, they do timed bans. So, when you see like Kimmy's been banned, well, it's a timed ban, it won't permanently be banned. And we know that he can just go and make another account and continue on his mission of destroying the population of Gran Turismo 7. It doesn't need to be a crazy system, it just needs to be something that penalises drivers for hitting a fellow driver with force. It's just very, very inconsistent and can make the game very, very frustrating. Sticking with daily races on that theme, BOP. So BOP stands for Balance of Performance, and it is exactly that apparently. It balances out all the performances of the cars, for example GT3s, and ensures that all of the cars are driving and powering and all of that good stuff on a very even level. However, it doesn't do that. So a while ago, we had the Lamborghini GT4 car, which was used all of the time because they'd adjusted the balance of performance for that car and made it an absolute weapon. It just voided any other car, like no car could keep up with it. The cars didn't have the handling. We were doing TWR GT4 season and we were in the Honda NSX, and honestly, we drove the Honda NSX and then went to the Lamborghini, and the difference, it was quicker, had more downforce, it could turn in so much better. The whole thing was just OP, and that then meant that all the other cars were just unusable in daily races. Like, you just couldn't use them. There was no point, you would just end up losing. Then they go and fix that problem and they make another car OP. It's a constant issue. It doesn't balance them out. And yes, the cars will handle differently from each other because they're different cars. Realistically, this is a game that's been out for how many years. They should have the BOP down by now. They're not even running new cars. We've not had a new GT3 or GT4 for God knows how long. You know, it's not like it's a new car that they've just brought in and it's like, oh, well, we're not quite sure about this, so we need to... No. You just don't know what you're doing with it, and it's something that really needs to be fixed. While we're on daily races, I'm just going to keep to daily races at the minute. Daily races are rubbish. I'm sorry. Look, no, we're not even gonna have this conversation. We get repeat daily races more times than I've had hot dinners. I mean, honestly, it's gone from being daily races to weekly races, and I don't know why they haven't just renamed that, because that would just make sense. It's weekly races. They don't change every day. They don't do that anymore. But the constant repeats. Oh, honest. No. How many times? Is it Deep Forest that we do like every other week? It's honestly, it's just not interesting. And the strategy, sometimes they'll have a great strategy race, and that's what we're looking for. For me, Daily C is the longer race with the strategy and the try-hardness. And the amount of times that it's just been like, no, you just put your foot down and go. No pit stop, no nothing. 10 laps, just go. And then they wonder why people aren't racing that much that week, because it's dull. It's just dull. Stop repeating them. I don't know what it is. They have a multitude of tracks that they don't use online. I don't know why. And I don't know if it's because they have a problem with them. I really don't know. But again, 3 years this game's been out. If you can't put all of the tracks online for daily races, then you really need to look into that. Games like Assetto Corsa Evo coming out with a very similar concept on a more sim level, it's going to absolutely shaft them really bad. And look, there'll always be people that play Gran Turismo, and I'm one of them. But yeah, when you see like AC Evo come out and it is very, very good, it does make you go, I'm still on daily races, just bear with me. So we have 3 different types of daily races: daily race A, daily race B, and daily race C. Now, there's never really been sort of a written down, this is how these work. However, most of the time, daily race A is a meme race where it'll just have a random car where you do a lap or 2 laps and your driver rating won't be affected. That's fine. I quite like a fun event. Daily B is slightly more serious, but not as long. No. And it's kind of less serious. There's probably not many pit stops, but it's more serious than Daily Race A. Then Daily Race C, which is the longer, more serious, try-hard race where strategy comes in to play. However, it's not always like that, and it gets very frustrating when, for example, they bring out a daily race where there's no strategy and it's just like a few laps and it's just boring. So why not have those 3 races where they're just a little less, and then go for like a daily race D where it's a longer race, 45-minute an hour endurance, where we get to race with strategy, racing around some of the really good tracks. Like, I wouldn't mind an hour-long endurance around Spa where there's strategy, where there's good amount of tyre wear, good amount of fuel usage, where you have to actually have a strategy in place. I mean, that is what a lot of Gran Turismo 7 players are craving, an actual proper race. And Daily Race A, if it's a meme race and it's a bit of fun, then that can be for the cars that they keep introducing us to. Then make Daily Race A a place for them, so we can actually utilise them more instead of them just ending up in our garage and us ignoring them for the rest of the game. Daily Race C could be a shorter version of an endurance, 20 minutes, and Daily Race D could be an hour-long race where there's strategy and actual skill involved. The next problem is Slipstream, and by Slipstream, I mean custom Slipstream. Custom Slipstream is simply too strong. It essentially means that you have so much more pace over the car in front of you if they're not following anyone, that you can just fly past them. And then another problem appears, because the multitude of people that play Gran Turismo, I know you see the World Series drivers and you see the content creators that are all professionals, but not everyone is a professional on this game, and the amount of times I have seen your average Joe picking up that custom Slipstream, flying past another car and then braking at their normal point and not understanding why they're in the gravel. Listen, I've done it, all right? I'm not atting people. I've done it, right? But simply, that is the be-all and end-all of it, really, is that custom slipstream is just far too powerful, and they really do need to get rid of it. Just ends up being a slipstream fest, and then a multitude of accidents that make the racing just unbearable. I don't know how they got it so wrong. And again, I go back to the fact that this game is 3 years old. The online aspect of it has its own issues, and I haven't really heard this being brought up on anything really, but we're getting a lot more lobby glitches than I think I've ever seen in the 3 years that we've had Gran Turismo 7. Now, one of the glitches that we've had a constant problem with at TWR, which is the league that I help run, is the tyre glitch. Now, what I mean by that is that we'll have 16 cars running in a race. A couple of them will have far more tyre wear than the rest of the field. We've done a multitude of testing on this, and we had 2 people in particular that were having a lot more tyre wear than other drivers. What we boiled it down to in the end was actually internet connection, and we thought it was because their connection wasn't as fast, as reliable as everyone else's. They were seeing more tyre wear, which would come out potentially in the fact that maybe they were driving a bit more erratically because of they were lagging around, and maybe that was causing the tyre wear. But I genuinely couldn't get my head around the fact that the tyre wear would be based on internet speed or your connection. It really doesn't make sense, and I'm very intrigued to find if anyone else has had this problem. Just a basic lobby doing an hour race, it was that the 2 people with the lesser internet connection had excessive tyre wear, but I've never heard anything about it spoken from anyone. But it is there, and it is a glitch. Now, I'm going to sound like a broken record with this because everyone complains about these next 2, but we'll go over it anyway because why not? New cars. Now, I know what you're thinking. We have new cars all the time. And yes, we do. We do. And I love that. However, as Gran Turismo has grown in the past few years, from Gran Turismo Sport, Gran Turismo 7 to World Series, they do a professional series called World Series, in which they have drivers from all around the world competing at a stadium to win the ultimate trophy, which I don't even know what it is. But we haven't had a new GT3 or GT4 car for about 100 years. I mean, look, I don't have a problem with them bringing new cars in, because if you've played Gran Turismo since the beginning, it's a car game. Like, bring me cars, I don't mind. And it is essentially, that's where it stems from. The sort of racing cars came in. They did have racing cars, but it wasn't a whole thing. Now we've moved on, and now we have daily races, now we have online racing, and now we have competitive racing at a very, very high level, and we're driving cars that are like 10 years old. Like, it's not a big deal for me personally, because we do have quite a good selection of GT3 and GT4 cars, and people play Gran Turismo for very different reasons. Not everyone plays it for the online aspect. However, it is frustrating when you see other racing games getting a lot of updates with new cars. I mean, simply just a Ferrari 488 GT3. Do you know what I mean? Like, how many games have got that car in, and we're still sat there with the old Ferrari? Listen, it's just frustrating the amount of times that the updates come and it's just like, well, I'm not going to use that car. Like, do any of the World Series drivers use the new bloody lorry that's come through? Is that going to help them at any point? They should do that race, by the way. I mean, World Series in those UB van things, that would be really, really good. And while I'm on the subject of new stuff, tracks. Was the last one we got that snow track, or was it Ida? I think it was Ida, the last track that we got. We loved it. We were really happy about it. And listen, we were hyped. It was a new track. We were excited. But that's it. We very rarely get any new tracks, and I know the player base wants that. Like, just one more before GT8 comes out. There are many, many other tracks that I would quite like to see. Why have we not got Donington? Donington is a fantastic racetrack in the UK. We've got Brands Hatch. To be fair, a lot of the tracks, there's inconsistencies, and they could do with redoing all of them, to be honest, because some of them are a bit iffy. It's a racing game. It updates nearly every month, and there's just no new tracks. It's like... Now, this is a bit of a... It's a bit of a daft one, this, but it just, I don't know how to tell you, it annoys me. You know, after the daily workouts and you get a reward, they're rubbish. Or you'll get a really good one and it'll just go past it and you're like, oh, good shit, mate, good shit. Oh, I don't even want to open them half the time. Here, let us reward you for paying money to play our game. Here's £5,000 when you could have had £1 million. Look, it's a little thing, but it's annoying. And I'm good. Blame Chris Maldonado for this because he reminded me of it. I'd forgotten it. And then I remembered it and I was like, no, this is annoying. This is a problem. Give us the Enzo. Here you go. You've worked out today. Well done. You've moved your big fat booty, sat it in a racing seat, and you've done virtual miles. You deserve a Ferrari Enzo. Now, obviously, this video is me going over some of the things that I think Gran Turismo 7 has problems with. But as I said before, there are a multitude of positives to Gran Turismo 7, and I would always recommend Gran Turismo 7 for someone. It's an easy plug and play racing game, and I really, really love that about it. However, some of the problems that it does have does make it a little bit frustrating to play. And if I've missed anything out, and I know I have, I know you lot will be in my comment section saying, "Hun, you missed the thing about the thing. That's a very important thing you missed out." You definitely should comment in the comment section and let me know the things that frustrate you the most about Gran Turismo 7. Just get it all out. This is a therapy session for us all. It's a therapy session. I won't charge. I won't charge, I promise. But if you did enjoy this video, I create a multitude of racing game content, so make sure to subscribe and like the video if you enjoyed my whinging. You're all welcome. Thank you so much for watching.